Welcome back to the All Out Club podcast. Am I even on?
Yeah. Can you hear yourself?
Sounds really weird, Mara.
No.
Is it up?
Yeah, you're on.
Is Benson? Is that his? All right. Welcome back to the All Out Club podcast. Boys, plenty of sport has been on. Historic night last night, especially with the Wallabies. Lots to talk about. How we been?
Yeah, very well, mate. Look, it was an early morning watching the Wallabies, and it was worth the wait because it was actually, I reckon, one of the best games I've ever watched the Wallabies play since maybe like the early days of 2015 when we made the World Cup final. So, mate, obviously Joseph Sua'ali'i's a big talking point, though. He was elite.
Yeah, well, for me, it was actually an early night as I don't give a shit about rugby union. But I did
noted
watch
from the viewers.
I did watch the highlights in the morning, and I actually do wish that I stayed up to watch it because Joseph Sua'ali'i, who's obviously our rugby league icon, absolutely carried that team, got man of the match, and they got a very lovely win. I heard they were paying $5, so I'm disappointed.
Heavy
I didn't get on.
outsiders.
Here's a good take. I reckon Joseph Sua'ali'i is the best cross-code athlete that has ever been
That is
in the cross-code.
after one game.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I reckon he like
better than Izzy Folau.
Yeah, I reckon he's better than Izzy Folau.
How can you say it? He's 21. That's just
Exactly
like-
right. He's 21, and there
Well,
is so much hype and aura.
Don't
about
say
this
now. Say he will be.
Okay, he will be the best cross-code athlete ever.
What?
He was so good last
Brad
night.
Thorne dominated.
And I think we forget.
Everything.
I think we forget that he's only 21. Like we
Yeah,
got.
well, that's what goes to my point where, like, in the future, it could be.
Yeah, he was just everything he touched turned to gold last night. He's an aerial threat. His hands and his hand-eye is just beautiful.
Is he
And-
worth 1 point? What is it for?
Yeah, pay him more. Pay him more.
1.6 million a year.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
Pay
I
him
think
more. Pay
there's
him more.
rumors as well that it goes up as well, like depending on how many years he extends for.
I think he has a player option after like the 3 years is up, so he could then go for that fourth year, and then he gets paid more after that. But I think it's worth every cent. And he's played one game, hasn't played a Super Rugby game, and he's got the chocolates already. We play Wales next week, which like we should beat them. We beat them 3 times this year in June, July, so we should beat them. Then Scotland, which will be a tough game, then Ireland. So if we want the Grand Slam, we're going to have to play pretty good, but it's a perfect start.
There's also rumors in his contract saying maybe next year or 2026, there's a gap between the union season and also
I
it's the
hate
end of
that
the
talk.
NRL.
Yeah, look.
And the Roosters are going to try get him
Respectfully, if
a
any
month or
Roosters
two.
fans are listening, fuck off.
Seriously.
Fucking,
we
you
just-
lost him. We have him for what? 1.6 million.
Nah, Bets, I did see that article, and what's his name? Phil Waugh, Australian CEO, said, piss off, pretty much, and it's not happening. So
Yeah.
I reckon it's worth every single cent, and to their credit, Sua'ali'i was good, but everyone else on the pitch was elite. Bobby V, outstanding again.
Yeah, the
Icky
center combo was excellent. We
Icky Tau.
outplayed their centers by a mile.
Icky Tau was brilliant. Tom Wright, I have an issue with him under the high ball. He can't really catch a high ball, which he'll have to work on, but his broken field play was just exceptional.
I thought the best man from across both teams was Josh Smith.
Yeah, Joe Schmidt,
um,
coach.
The forward pack just looked elite.
Yeah. In England's defence, I thought Marcus Smith had an absolute blinder in
He's
a
world-class.
loss.
He's world class.
And those 2 grabber kicks that in behind to not force a try for the second one, but get them in it was he played blinder.
Angus Bell is like a serious player. Ball
Yeah.
carries, mobile. Yeah, he's special.
I feel like everything's coming together, and we've got the British and Irish Lions tour next year, our home World Cup in 2027. I think we're just building towards something really good. So
Yeah, I guess even me saying that I dislike rugby union, the one thing that I can't take away from the game is the international prevalence.
yeah.
Like, there is no relevance in rugby league for international games. I don't think I've watched a single one. And I think even just the inclusion of Sua'ali'i might actually get some attention from the league fans, which is good for union
I
as
think
well.
this is a bit of a hot take. I think Union has a higher ceiling in terms of entertainment than League. When it's a great game of rugby union,
yeah, definitely.
it's some of the best stuff.
That
you'll
was
ever
that
watch in
was
sport.
legit one of the best games I've watched all year.
Yeah,
Like rugby league this year was atrocious. Like,
I'm actually genuinely keen to watch the next few games. And I think 1.6 million a year for a player, it sounds crazy, but it's also an investment for the game. And it's going to bring a lot more eyes from the other codes as well.
Yeah.
So
What are
hats
our
off to them.
What are our thoughts on league players who aren't necessarily Union fans getting a bit annoyed, saying Union poached a league player, and of course he was the best player in the field.
yeah, look, Sua'ali'i started as a rugby union player. We got to remember this, and then he went to league.
He got stolen.
Let's fast track. Let's backtrack back to the younger years. He was a rugby union player first.
Yeah.
Then he went to league.
See,
and then-
I get both sides of it because I know he started at league playing club, and then he went to a union school, played union there, was elite, and then he went to league, and now he's in union. So it's like, is any code really poaching him? He's played both for his whole life.
I think that's what Villandis also doesn't understand, that half of the private schools in Sydney, Brisbane and Melbourne are also breeding the talent of the next generation of league players, which
We should
it's
be able to
so obvious.
coexist.
So
I think it's a good competition, though. It makes it a bit of a rivalry.
It is interesting.
Yeah, I do enjoy it, and I hope even some of the rugby union players coming to league. It's interesting. We got Carter Gordon at the Titans next year.
yeah,
Keen to see how he goes. Hopefully, he does a Sua'ali'i.
I think it's going to be hard for going off the topic a bit, but I think it's going to be hard for Carter Gordon to actually get into the side. And I've said this numerous times: the Titans are making the top 4 next year.
That's just,
Their team on paper are
that's your
elite.
second grade you take. Mate, Brimson's fucking betting on himself, apparently.
Yeah, true. But like their team on paper, you go through it, it's a top 4 team. It's a top 4
don't
You
team.
know
go
about
through your
that.
team, and it's not a top 4 team. The spine is up there, though.
What do you mean?
Tanner Boyd's going as well. Warriors. So.
If the spine's up there, then they have Tino, Dave Feeder. They'll-
Tino off ACL.
yeah. Well, you'll see.
I'm
Fafita was
gonna
awful
clip
at the back
this next year when
You'll
they
see.
come 15th.
I think they could come 8th.
I reckon 10th at best.
Yeah. I reckon Eels come 6th.
Okay.
Shall we move on?
Just before we move on, I will just outline his stats in his debut, which is quite ridiculous. He had 1 assist, which set up the try for Tom Wright. Can't say I know who that is, but good on you, Tom Wright.
He's a leaguey.
Yeah, he's a leaguey. Yeah.
There you go. I'm lacking. He had 7 carries with 80 meters gained, 4 offloads, 5 tackles, 1 turnover, 1, 2 line breaks, and 3 kick returns. So fantastic
Yeah,
debut.
it was elite, mate. It was really good.
Moving on, we've got some cricket news, changing the sport completely, but that's okay.
It's
Obviously,
the All Out Club podcast. We can do whatever we want.
exactly. There is a lot of news that we have to catch up on. It's been a few weeks, but this morning the Test squad was announced to face India.
Yep.
Obviously, you guys know who I'm about to talk about. There's one massive inclusion. We've got a bias. Nathan McSweeney. Congratulations, mate.
Well deserved.
We've been tracking his progress for a very long time. Obviously, went to the same high school as him. Used to carry the Nudgee College team as well.
Big carry.
It's just it's a lovely to see him in
It's
that side.
it's a bit of a full circle moment, isn't it, for Nathan? He's like I can say he deserves it because he scored the most runs in Australia. He's scored for South Australia, so
He's captain
It's
He
too.
scored at the right time as well.
It's actually good to see the selectors rewarding form. Like I feel like in previous years that they haven't done that, and they've just picked off sort of loyalty, I guess. But it's good to see a young kid coming through. And if you listened to Crash a few weeks ago, he mentioned that most of the Australian team is over 30. Like Kawaj is 38 in December.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So there's going to be a big turning point for Australia, and I think this is the good time to start breeding some young players.
Full due respect to Marcus Harris, if we picked him,
Oh, you're just going in full cycle again, aren't you?
Yeah, no.
Like, you know,
I might have not watched the first game.
That would just be ridiculous if they picked Marcus Harris again. Like, what is the point?
Technically, I think McSweeney's pristine. Like he said, he opened all throughout schooling, I think, or at least when he grew up.
Yep.
So it's like technically, I think he can open and be fine. It's not where he wants to be, but I mean, he's got his spot in the team. So
I don't know what it is about him, but he just has that.
he's got a
you
bit of
know,
aura.
He's got that aura of he is a Test batsman. He just suits it. I don't know what it is. Like he's
Was a quality batter,
got a cool
but
head.
I don't know him that well, but by all reports, he's a top bloke.
yeah.
Yeah. He's
For
a
everyone
captain.
we know.
He's a captain for South Australia and obviously captain Heat to their win as well.
Yep.
So obviously he's got that leadership, and I wish him the best of luck as well.
I think Australia, like India, have such a good record in Australia. They shouldn't. They've won the last 2 Test series here in Australia. They shouldn't have that record. We're so dominant at home. I think this summer we smash them. I reckon it's going to be 4-0.
4-0.
Yeah.
Wow.
I reckon we smash them. India just sort of lacks that. They lack the batting at the moment, I reckon. Their bowling lineup is good, and I know Shami's a big loss, but Kohli's out of form. Sharma's out of form. There's talk that he might not play that
Jaswell's
first
a
test.
superstar.
Yes, but Kohli's out of form, and they rely so heavily on him. I just think there's an opening for Australia to bat India out of the game, and our bowling lineup is obviously first class. So I'm going to say 4-0 Aussies.
Wow.
Look, I'm not going to comment on that as I don't want the Indians in the comment section absolutely railing me.
This is
so
bait.
I'm going to stay with the Feds. You're fishing really well there, Cordless, but I'm not going to comment on that. But I really hope Australia win. That's all I'm going to say.
I think our bowlers will be too dominant, but I think there'll be one test match where our batters just absolutely fail miserably.
Yeah.
And India scrape a win. So
I think there is a bit of a
3-1.
concern with our batting lineup. There is a bit of a concern.
Yeah,
100%.
even though the games are quite irrelevant right now in the series against Pakistan, we're not showing great signs just as Australia cricket in general. So it's just a bit worrying. That's the thing that I worry about coming into the test. You guys been watching the Pakistan series at all?
Yeah.
It's been a tough watch.
Yeah, it's been tough.
In the nicest way possible, I think there's just a little bit of arrogance as well. Like it's a 50-over game. We have 300 rocks, and we're going out there swinging like we need to score 10 and over. Like it's just like 300 gets you wins, right? Like we don't have to be going out and swinging hard.
Back to the ODI, love cricket. I like ODIs. It's just an irrelevant series.
I don't think
It's-
many people are watching it.
Like, it would be a lie if we said, like, we were that enthralled by it. And Australia was. Like, there's not many people at the games. They're scheduling it on Mondays.
Yeah.
I think ODIs generally, I feel like it should go back to test first, ODIs, and then T20s to finish off.
All
Yeah,
against
I
the
agree.
same team as
Yeah.
well. Like we don't need to be playing.
That was sick watching
different
England,
teams.
like 2013. Like Jimmy Faulkner, after we just smacked him 5-0.
Yeah, 5-0 into the 3 or 5 ODIs into 3 T20s. It was a
That's
lovely
great.
sort of period. But yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, well, I guess moving on from the Test and ODI and also the T20 series, there is an extension for their coach that's gone to 2027. So I think that indicates that they are putting their trust in the coach. So it's going to be interesting how they decide their teams over the series, because it's evident that this is going to be the start of a new era.
Out of all sports, what sport is the coach least relevant? I think cricket would be up there.
It's up there.
I know it's important, but in terms of like strategy and like, it's mostly the captain. And like, he's got people obviously in his ear, like what to do. But out of every sport, the coach is arguably the most important like aspect to winning.
There'd be a lot of behind the scenes stuff we don't see.
That's true. But I'm
Right.
just thinking about like
In terms
I
of
think
on
NRL, if you have a shit coach, you're not winning.
Yeah, I think
Same
cricket
as uni.
coaches are really important, like in actual training, but not so much in the games.
Yeah.
That's the way that I.
I mean, you
look
got to time out every ball.
at it. Yeah, exactly.
They'd be important. They'd be important for game strategy and lead up into the game. But
I'm not
on-
saying
on
they're
the
not
day.
important. I'm just saying in respect to other sports.
Yeah.
So moving on from cricket, we have some pretty fantastic news in the realm of athletics in Australia. You know, I'm about to say it's Gout Gout, the one, the only. He has clocked a time of 20 seconds, 29 milliseconds in his 200 meter Queensland All-School Championship. I believe it's the fourth fastest in Australian history.
Goat.
Fastest time since about 1980 from memory, maybe 1960. To put in perspective, Usain Bolt at the same age, he ran 20 seconds 13, which is only 16 milliseconds faster than Gout Gout. And not only that, he's earned himself a sponsorship with Adidas.
I think other than Joseph Sua'ali'i, he is the best up
You're
and
coming in with
coming.
aggressive hot takes here.
He is like one of the best up and coming athletes in Australia. Like he
100%.
has to be. That's not a
No,
hot
it's not-
take.
no,
either.
no, no,
That's
it's
not
not.
hot.
That's
at
not a
all.
hot take. That's
That's
just
just
fact. That's
yeah,
just fact.
That's just a comment.
That's fact.
I
That is.
actually have a very interesting proposition as well.
Go
Gout
on.
Gout, if he plays rugby league on the wing, how many tries is he scoring for Penrith Panthers?
I think. Oh no.
Genuinely.
Okay, we'll give him prime 2021 Penrith Panthers. He's on the wing.
Yeah.
I'm giving it him.
I'll give
I'd
him 3.
I'll give him 6.
I'm doing backline moves, play one. You're inside your own 20. You're just doing a cutout pass and he's just gassing everyone and scoring every play.
Think
He'd be
about,
like
like-
Jason Saab. You know how
Yeah.
Saab has that running technique? He goes like this. It's exactly like Gout. And I see him scoring 6 tries.
If Gout, I'm talking future here. He's 16. He's 22. He's in the Olympic final 100-meter race. If he wins, is he the most famous Australian in the world?
Yes.
absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
I know I did a bit of research earlier and I was looking up how much Puma paid Usain Bolt for his deal, and it was $10 million a year. So it's not light money.
And research.
Yeah.
Mate,
I know. And if he goes down the same path and he's getting 10 million, obviously that's a very, very large ask. But if he goes down that path and he becomes as big as someone like Usain, 10 million a year, he'd be probably the top paid Australian athlete.
You got to forget how big. I think you're forgetting how big the 100-meter sprint actually is.
Yeah,
like
it's
it is massive. It's
Noah
huge.
Lyles. Think about our TikTok for you page when Noah Lyles won.
Yeah,
it
it's
was all
massive.
over it.
Yeah.
I think Gout. I know Gout is the most promising Australian athlete at the
100%.
moment.
Like historically, Australians stink on the track.
Yeah.
So if we even got someone into the final,
I tell you what. When we went out and watched the GPS Athletics and he won the 100 and 200 meter, there was arrogance, and it was well deserved arrogance because he thrashed them. These kids had no clue.
yeah, I could see their reaction then. It's like, what the fuck?
And he's only in grade 11, by the way, so he's coming back next year.
He's 16.
He should be running a 250 and a 200. Yeah, I think he still wins.
He still wins, probably.
Why
Yeah.
is it that every single athlete who's insanely quick has the biggest aura name ever? Usain Bolt.
Yeah.
Oh.
His name's Gout. Of course he's
So much aura.
Like-
Noah Lyles, probably not much aura.
you're not going
but-
to get a 100-meter bronze medalist or a gold medalist called Tim Smith.
Yeah.
No, you're not.
I think Gout Gout's a name that we're going to hear for a very, very long time.
Sorry
Yeah,
for the
well done.
stray on any Tim Smith listeners.
Yeah, well done, Gout.
Moving on, we're looking at the Socceroos and Ange Ball. Obviously,
Ange Ball.
the Socceroos actually have a very, very large game. I believe it's in 4 days' time. And it's one that's crucial to get qualification for the World Cup against Saudi Arabia.
Well, hang on. Ange doesn't coach Socceroos.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah.
He's doing his own thing in the Premier League, obviously coaching my Tottenham Hotspur. And obviously I could go down that path, which I happily will,
Slippery
actually.
slope.
Obviously, they've just beat City, so Spurs the real deal. But I guess Ange Ball, the only issue over there is he's working with Spurs, who are the most inconsistent team probably of all time. So I don't think it's an Ange thing. He's doing a fantastic job. They're coming 9th right now with a game in hand. But I think his attacking style is going to help him. Shout out Ange Ball. He's probably putting us on the map for football as well, doing a good job coaching.
Ange, if you're listening, well done, mate. Well done.
Hats off to you, mate. I guess that's about all for Socceroos news. Let's move on from that. But
Tell
good
you
job,
what,
Ange.
if you've got a healthy appetite for sport, you're loving this.
Yeah, exactly. You got to know everything.
This is the back page
Let's
on
talk about
from
J-Mac.
Dimu.
Let's talk about J-Mac yesterday.
We could actually. How many did you win? 4?
Oh, he's just... if you bet on him throughout the whole spring carnival...
You're profitable.
You're profitable. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
well,
Absolutely.
fuck all these punting cubs and stuff.
Like he again on the hot take sort of train here. He could be one of New Zealand's greatest ever athletes. Like he could be. He's only 30. He's on 104 Group 1s.
Yeah.
The max is like the top is 130. I'm fairly sure.
Are we really calling a jockey an athlete though?
Absolutely is.
This is a great clip actually.
Absolutely.
I want you to tell me, is a jockey an athlete?
Yes, 100%. He's an athlete. They do so
yeah,
much
they are.
work in the gym, man. They're an
Yeah.
athlete. Yeah.
It's
They
probably
are.
underrated.
But who wins the race?
The horse. That's what I mean.
But the jockey does as well.
The horse wins the race, but the race can't be won without a jockey.
Okay.
Horse wins the race, the jockey wins the battle.
But if you're a non-experienced jockey and you're riding Winx Prime, are you winning?
No.
I'm back.
I'm not backing some apprentice to get it home.
I'm too much of a fridge. It'd come last.
Yeah, the
Too much
weight
weight on
might
that.
be an issue. We're on the bulk here.
No, but J-Mac, I was at the Cox Plate and we knew Via Sistina was fit, right? It did 3 laps of the track before they could like calm it down and get it settled. And then it came out on Cox Plate Day and rode that. When it got around the corner at 400, I was just like, this thing has won. It was just unbelievable. J-Mac 100 on the day. If he's not the GOAT already, he will be in a couple of years' time because he is simply sensational. He was very good.
There you go, guys. If in doubt and you're betting on the horses, just bet on J-Mac.
Gamble
Ignore the
responsibly, of
horse.
course.
And of course,
Yeah.
gamble responsibly.
Imagine seeing like
Any betting agencies out there?
Imagine not being like a sport enthusiast, racing enthusiast, and seeing Craig Williams walk by, and then Coolest goes, "That's one of the best athletes in Australia."
Yeah.
You wouldn't believe it.
You would not believe it. But
I
shout
wouldn't
out
say that about
Willow.
Craig.
Oh, poor Craig.
Well, he rode well on Mr. Brightside yesterday, but I swear every time I'm on him, he butchers it. So that's for another day.
Anyway,
Hope
this
you're well,
is, this
Craig.
is a fantastic transition into rugby league.
Yeah, Brimo. We could talk about Brimo.
We
Lovely
can talk about
transition.
Brimo. Do you guys want to, start off with Brimo?
Well, look, There's nothing confirmed yet from the integrity unit, but
It's pretty funny.
in terms of Brimo, like, how are you whiting it out and not just cropping it?
We need to
How do
give
you
some
know how to
background.
white it out? And
Yeah.
not crop?
For anyone that doesn't know, he posted a winning slip for the Melbourne Cup, and he whited out the bet slip that he had below it, and people could see that it said first try scorer. And obviously, you're not allowed to bet on your own sport. I don't think they're allowed to bet on rugby union either.
no.
And everyone was sending this around, and then he's come back saying that it was his mum's account.
Yeah.
Weird that he said, let's hit the PAV.
Yeah. So he was flexing his mum's win, and he said, "Let's go to the PAV."
It's a lose-lose situation. Why are you not? How does he not know how to crop?
Exactly. They're an interesting breed, them rugby league players. I'm not going to lie.
It's
But,
a difficult situation. I know. I think it was 7 years ago. I don't want to say his name because I think it's wrong, but there was a West Tigers player who did the exact same thing and never played a rugby league game ever again. So, like, the crime here is quite severe. What AJ's done.
There was an NBA player who was betting on his unders because he was playing about 2 minutes a game, and I think he would end up winning like $5,000.
Betting on your
got
unders is
suspended
crazy.
forever for NBA, and his contract was like $2 million. So maybe the worst investment ever.
Yeah,
That
terrible.
is ridiculous.
Terrible.
Speaking about a little bit more controversy, unfortunately, Terrell May's departure from the Roosters. There's a lot of red flags there. No one really knows what's going on. He's just signed an extension, $950K a year, participated in all the games of the season, obviously was a fantasy stud, and now he's being shopped around.
Look, if we can get some better minutes from Terrell May at the Bulldogs, I'll be all for it because there was some inconsistencies this year at the Roosters. Yeah, look, it's a bit interesting, isn't it?
As a club, are you willing to sign someone like that who has a bit of a dodgy reputation? Not that he's done anything wrong.
There's got to be something there.
There's a bit of risk around signing him.
Oh,
You
look,
know.
if I was building a team as a CEO, I would be building the Good Bloke Hub 100% because like just good cultures win football games, and you can see it with Storm. Like
100%.
they haven't had that many incidents over the 30 years that they've been in the comp. So, yeah, I don't know.
I don't like, apart from him missing a bus, I haven't heard of anything like that that's out in the media of him doing anything wrong. So it's obviously
They've
something
kept it on the
behind
wraps.
Something behind the scenes.
behind the scenes he's done wrong, and the Roosters have gone, no, we're not having you.
Newcastle, you can sign him, play him 60 minutes a game, 60 points. We won't-
Or
we won't
fantasy
sign.
coaches are frothing.
The Red V seem to be fucking throwing contracts around, so hopefully we'll give him 1.5
I
mil.
was actually just about to say Red V signed Gutherson. What are your thoughts as a Red V fan yourself, Mick?
Look, I'll make this very clear. I think Gutherson's still a very good player.
Yeah,
I think
100%.
obviously he's gradually declined last couple of years. He's had 2 knee surgeries, cleanups in the last couple of years. Are you giving a 30-year-old with poor knee history who's on the decline $850K?
If you're a Dragons fan, you are, because it just seems like everyone who's at the end of their career just goes to the Dragons and plays. Like
I wanted to
there
end
is so
this
much track
cycle.
record here.
I like the Val signing. I like the Cook signing. Do we really need more leadership?
I mean,
No,
you
I
can't
think-
go
I
off
think
the
we
who
leash.
else
needed-
is on the market, right?
Well, that's
You gotta
the
think of
point. It's
market.
like, yeah, there's no one else in the market, but does that mean you just, for the sake of it, overpay for someone? Surely Gutho would have signed for the Dragons for $600K.
Yeah.
I think the Eels were looking to get rid of him. It was pretty evident towards
Yeah.
the end of last year.
I
And
think
what do
he'll
they
do a
do
job.
with Sloan? What goes on there?
He can move to the wing.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a tricky one there, but another signing question mark. Obviously, I think we might have mentioned it a few weeks ago, but Ben Hunt. There's now rumors that the Broncos might be trying to get him.
I can sort of understand it, but they just bombed 1.2 million on Reece Walsh. They've still got Ezra Mam sort of up and about. What's the situation with him? We
I
don't
believe
know.
it's 12 weeks. I think from memory that might not be absolutely correct, but I think the rumor is he's going to be banned for 12, which is
So that's-
very large.
That's still an issue. I think there's just not enough cap space for Hunt to come to the Broncos. That's my only issue.
Yeah.
I know the Titans are out of the chase. They don't want him. There's probably a few teams that would be after him, but do you want a 35-year-old Ben Hunt who's declining as well? You gotta weigh up that option.
I think Hunt goes to the Rabbits, goes back to Wayne. They need
Back
a
to Wayne?
halfback.
I can see Finns and just
I
him
just-
and Katoa in the
Like,
halves
if
for
we're
a few
thinking
years.
about, like, it all depends on where he wants to live post-career, because he's not going to the Broncos and then moving back to Sydney, because
Exactly.
like, you'd have to, you
I
know,
think Queensland does make sense, but yeah, once again, Wayne Bennett also makes sense. So if I had to guess, I'd say Finns, but it would be pretty hard to fit him in there as well. But that's another bit question mark to go
maybe he
over.
doesn't want to upend like the life he's built in Sydney. but maybe he doesn't want to play hooker.
Not to mention he's also pretty old for a rugby league player. I don't know exactly. I think he's about
34.
34. I thought he was older than that.
Yeah, 34.
Maybe
So he's only got a few
35.
years left as well. So whatever team wants to sign him has to take that risk. But in saying that, I think he would be a good risk. Other than that, for NRL, we do have some news that PNG is hosting the 2026 World Cup. So congratulations to PNG, and they're also coming in the NRL soon, apparently.
Do we think that's a bit of a test?
I think it is a test. I think it is a big test because, as we know, PNG, it's their main sort of code. It's their main code over there. Security
It's probably the
wise,
only
They will co-host
country
it.
where rugby league is the national sport.
yeah,
They
and
live and breathe it.
like we all know that the only issue with the PNG side at the moment is that security wise, it's not the greatest, and you just got to put forward, like, just say, for example, you'll pitch 200 grand to go over and play in PNG, and you got to pack up the house, you got to bring the family with you, and you're probably in a compound, right, where you got to stay safe, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's just probably
Do you think
it's
they'll
not
be
worth it.
located in PNG, the new team, or do you think they'll be maybe
Well, what's the
based
point?
in North Queensland, but they'll play games in PNG?
It's tough doing that, isn't it? You
I agree.
can't have a PNG team and then not playing PNG.
Well, they play there, but just for
So-
safety maybe. But I think it'd be great. It'd be like obviously expansive, but how hard would it be if the Dolphins can't sign marquee players? How hard is it going to be for PNG?
Yeah, exactly right. And that's the issues that they'll have. So, yeah.
Will be interesting to see 100%. The last two sports I was going to go over quickly because there's not that much news about it, but I think it's worth mentioning. We've got NBA and UFC. NBA wise, obviously you guys love the NBA. I love the NBA as well. However, I probably don't watch as much as you guys. Anything to note for Australians in the NBA that you guys are aware of? I know Josh Giddey is absolutely balling out over there. I've got here he's averaging 14.7 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists a game. So good on him.
I think that's what we expected from him on a new team. He's just not shooting lights out. I think the best Australian player has been Dyson Daniels.
Yeah.
Defensively, he's gotten probably a bit more opportunity with Hawks, a lot of injuries, but I think he's gotten 10 steals in his last 2 games, which is quite impressive.
I think they're just like the scope of international basketball is getting better. There's more teams competing because it was just USA for quite a few years there. Now you have Australia, you have China competing, Japan, USA, all the Europe teams coming together. So the actual World Cup and FIBA's on the rise in sort of my opinion. So it's good for the competition, that's for sure.
I think for Australia, we're still yet to have Kyrie doesn't count. Ben Simmons has mental problems. I think we're lacking a superstar. We haven't. I'm surprised we haven't gotten one.
Giddy's our best chance, but in saying that, he's just
He has no bag.
yeah. His weakness is basketball. No, it's not. And then it's pretty funny as well. You look at Paddy Mills, who absolutely balls out for Australia every time he puts that jersey on, and he's coming off the bench averaging only 3 points
Maybe
Yeah.
for the Jazz.
Me and Cooper have watched Roman. How do you pronounce his last name? Sua'ali'i.
Yeah.
Highly touted. He's been to NBA Academy stuff, but he loves Union. He was playing at Southport School this year. We watched him.
State
Athlete.
State high.
Tallest player on the field. Probably one of the quickest. He's got that NBA athleticism. It sort of makes me think pretend he doesn't make the NBA. Is it worth being a bona fide Union star or having a chance at making the NBA? Because that's a career choice you have to make pretty early.
Oh, it just depends if you want to chase the bag or you want to chase.
Because you're going to get back.
Contact.
You're going to get paid well for Union, but the ceiling is nowhere near, or league. The ceiling is nowhere near if you make the NBA.
No, it's not. It's
But in
And the
saying that,
lifestyle.
NBA is probably 15 to 50 times harder to make.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's something that he's got to balance
Or
up.
playing overseas, basketball's still got a decent amount of money.
Mm.
And I think to finish off, obviously there's not too much in the NBA going on in terms of Australia. There's some UFC. There's a massive event on Sunday coming up. It's John Jones, who's arguably the GOAT, versus Stipe Miocic. None of them are Australian, but I think it is worth covering as John Jones is risking his pretty much undefeated record. Are you guys going to be watching that on Sunday?
Probably not. I'm not the massive UFC fan, but I know you are, and it's obviously a big fight considering the way you're hyping it up here. So
It is massive.
It depends on if I bet in it.
yeah,
I think UFC is one of the best betting sports, but I think John Jones should win that comfortably. And it'll be interesting. I think the most interesting thing out of it is if he wins, he may call out Alex Pereira. Surely you guys know Alex Pereira, right? He's had the most title defenses in the past 3 years. And he's apparently going to call him out after if he wins, which would probably be the biggest fight of all time in any combat sport.
okay,
So there you go. I'm educating the viewers and educating you guys.
yeah.
This is what the club's about.
Yeah, it's about education.
Yeah.
You know, you need to be caught up with all the relevant news around the world.
Please buy a hat.
We need a top 5 segment next week, and we need to play highlights of top 5. So if you have any good top 5,
100%.
Yeah.
Leave some comments. Anything we missed, anything that Cordless was delusional about. Obviously, some of his hot
every
takes.
take was great.
I think the Titans one's not as bad as the just straight into Sua'ali'i's the best cross code.
I think the Sua'ali'i one is pretty valid.
In
I
the
reckon it's
future,
very
it could be,
valid.
but I think Israel Folau, body of work was pretty impressive.
I think it's the same thing. Izzy Folau, it's given the same, headlines.
Similar vibe.
Given same headlines, but he's like 5 years younger.
Body Takiri was quite good.
Oh man, we could go down this rabbit hole all day.
Yeah, we could.
Yeah. Anyway, I think it's time to wrap it up. Thank you for tuning in. I'm sure we'll do another one very soon. So
More
thank you
guests
very
coming
much.
on as well.
Of course. Stay
Hanji.
tuned. See you lads.
See ya.